episode. On today's episode, I am going to talk all about routines, why they're important, how you can create one that works for you. And no, I'm not talking about like 30 minutes to an hour of meditation a day, 2 times a day, whatever. No, I'm talking about how you could make a routine that's going to work for you. Let's get into it. So I think that I need to do a little bit of a rewind and go over what my goals have been, kind of how I got to where I am in terms of what my goals are, and give a little bit of a shout out to the people along the way that kind of helped me get to where I am and why I coach my clients the way that I do. So I told this story time and time again, but years and years ago, didn't really know what fitness was, kind of started just getting into working out just to be skinny. Didn't really know what I was doing or what to do. And so, whatever, would just go to the gym. It is what it is. At some point along the way, I was like, oh, I really love this process and I wanted to empower other people to go to the gym. So I kind of offered a little bit of free coaching here and there. I didn't really know what programming was. I would come up with some programs, things like that. And yeah, I would just try to help people, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I had a friend's strongman program and kind of adapted that, looked into programs online, and I was just trying to make it work. I wouldn't say that I was a great coach, and I definitely was just starting out. And honestly, what I didn't realize was not that I wasn't ready to coach anyone. I was just there and in this space to empower people and get people into the gym. And then eventually I kind of came into my own and went back to school to become a strength coach. So obviously I have all of the knowledge and certifications now, but didn't then truly I didn't really know what my goals were for a while. I knew I wanted to get stronger, but I didn't really know what that looked like. And then I basically kind of fell into these physique goals. So physique goals meaning you kind of want to look a certain way. And I fell into needing to be having some sort of physique goal. And so I was like, oh, I want to be big, buff, and strong. And then I also wanted to be skinny. So I wasn't really sure. And so I was just living in this in between of not really knowing. And then I got my shoulder surgery and I got really small by accident. And I tried to go the bodybuilding route, wasn't for me, went back to powerlifting and really fell into this I don't really know where I belong type of situation, because as much as I wanted to be a power lifter that kind of looked like a bodybuilder, but not quite like a bodybuilder. I don't even know. I was just kind of all over the place. And so I wasn't really sure what that looked like. And then years and years of just trying to figure out where my place was in this fitness world and what my really goals were. And for a while it was getting really good at powerlifting, but then work got in the way. And then my lack of self-esteem and body image, issues got in the way. And all of that to be said that I've invested, I have been with my powerlifting coach for 4+ years now, 4.5 years, and I love him to death. And he has been so patient with me throughout all of these changes and life events and things like that. And it did not invest in a nutrition specifically coach up until last year, really, to try and just dive a little bit more in, trying to work on my hormones, things like that. And then, I finally invested in a different coach who I'd been following for a while. I was literally following this girl for over a year, both envious of the fact that she had this successful coaching business and then I was also I need to learn from you. And so eventually I invested in her, and truly the amount of education that I have learned from working with her has not only benefited me, but also benefited my clients. And through that process, through all of this, I truly sat back and I was okay, for me personally, what has been the hardest part of this fitness journey or whatever? And, obviously I have these ebbs and flows of what I wanted, but I looked at it and I was where, these ebbs and flows have happened, but what have I built for myself now? Or what are the things that I was missing that kind of like got me to this point? And so working with this coach and just like really trying to like figure it out, working with my current clients, I was like, I figured it out. The biggest issue for me was having daily non-negotiables, weekly non-negotiables, like, and just quite literally what my day was going to look like when I woke up to when I went to sleep, and like where I needed to fit things in. And I'm a really busy human being. I have my own business. I coach cheer on the side, and then I'm a full-time Division I strength and conditioning coach. Okay, so like I'm busy. On top of that, if you look at my two jobs that required specific time commitments, other people dictate my time at all times. Like I have to commute, and then once I get there, like somebody else is dictating my time. Like I don't really get to create my own schedule. So with that being said, I had to really get creative on like how I was going to do all of these different things. And ultimately, again, like what I realized was like the missing piece was figuring out how the hell I was going to do it. Like, how was I going to lift and do cardio and respond to clients and find new clients and record a podcast and coach cheer and coach at the Division I level? Like, how am I going to do it all? I just don't even know. And ultimately what I decided was like, I really need like a routine, and not just daily non-negotiables, like what you need to do every day. I needed like, what time am I waking up? What time am I going to bed? What times am I having breakfast, lunch, and dinner and a snack? Like, when am I doing all of these things? How am I fitting them in? And for a while I tried the whole time blocking thing, and I struggled with it mostly because I didn't have a daily routine. Like I struggled with it because I'd be like, oh, well, I'll just put this on the calendar and I know tomorrow I'll just move those things around. And then on top of that, I wasn't fitting in time for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so I would get hungry, or I would be like, oh, it's time to eat. And then I would just like move things around on that day at that time. And then just like things wouldn't get done. So all of that to be said, that I was like, I need to make a change. Like I need to understand what my days are going to look like on a macro level. And then I can function in that micro level. But like, if I don't have those constant reminders or understanding of like what my time looks like, it's going to be really difficult. And then on top of that, like I need to have a bedtime, and I need to have a wake up time. And when I wake up, I need the same routine to do every single day. So that way I can just get up and just keep getting used to it. Now I'm still working on it. I'm going to be honest. I'm working on like what is best for me and what I can do, because like my bedtimes are still kind of varying. So I'm still working through some of those things, but that is a part of the process. And this is exactly what I do with my clients. Like when I take on a new client, the first thing that we do is we go through a whole routine audit. So like we do a deep dive into your day, and I help you like figure out, okay, like when can you do walks? You're saying that you work through your lunch, but you don't have to. You just have, because you haven't had anything else to really do at that time. So the rest of your day, like you're kind of doom scrolling because you have all this time to do these things. Then you're kind of rushing at the end of the day, or spending extra time on the end of your day to like do things, whatever. So it's like, how do we become so efficient with the things that we have going on in our lives that we can fit these other things in, right? Because if you know that you need to go take a 10-minute walk on your lunch break, then you also know that you can't spend those 10 minutes doom scrolling on your phone at work. Or if you know that you need to drop your kid off here, and there's really not enough time for you to go home and come back or do anything else, like, okay, can we fit in a walk? Like drop your kid off, you go walking around the parking lot. Or if there's like some personal things that you need to do, let's take our laptop, pull out a hotspot, and let's do those personal things on the laptop and knock all those things out, right? Like we get so efficient into like what your specific day looks like to make sure that I'm not just talking at you, giving you this plan. You can actually fit it in. So now what I wanted this podcast to be a little bit about is just kind of guiding you through that process and helping you get there. So you really need to look at like, we need to reverse engineer the morning and the evening, right? So it's like, okay, what time do you absolutely need to get out the door very last second for you to drop your kids off and get to work, or just like get to work, or like what does that look like for you? What is that very last time? And then from there, we need to figure out what are you doing in the morning that is going to impact that time. So, let's say you're like, oh, well, typically I make all of my kids' lunch that morning. And also, I have to make myself breakfast and lunch that morning. And then also, I need to get them dressed and woken up and ready to go for school, but somebody else takes them to school. Let's say you're like, I get up and like, I don't really do my hair or my makeup, all good. I just need a few minutes. That's why I snooze my alarm 10,000 times, because I know I can just get up and rush. And then if I have enough time to make breakfast, great. If not, like I just jet and go, and then I buy something for lunch at work, right? Like, what are those things that you're doing that is causing this inefficiency? Because those are the things that we need to change, right? We need to plan, prepare, and change those things. So first, you need to reverse engineer it. Okay, so if you're like, one of the things that I'm doing in the morning is I'm making my kids lunches. Okay, well, we know that you probably would be more motivated to stay up later and make their lunches the night before than to get up early so that you can have a less rushed morning for you to make the lunches and get everything out the door, right? Like, the less you can do in the morning, the better. Because the morning, you should wake up, do some sort of thing to your face, wash your face, whatever. Wash your face, put some moisturizer on, put some sunscreen on, and then brush your teeth, put your contacts in, put a comb through your hair, get dressed, go downstairs, and like chill, right? Like, I want you to have your 60 grams of raspberries, sip on a cup of coffee, even if it's in a to-go mug, and just like have a way more low-key morning. Like, if we're not prepping breakfast and lunch for you and the kids and the hubby and all the things, like, and feeding the dog and literally all these things, like, where can we be super freaking efficient? So what can you do the night before? What can you do for the whole week? Like, if it's prepping breakfast burritos or breakfast sandwiches to put in the freezer and just like take out the night before so that it's ready to pop in the toaster oven the morning of, like, what are those different things that we can do to be really freaking efficient? And then let's create a schedule for the morning, right? So, okay, so you have your last time that you get out the door, you have those couple of items that you're putting on your list, and then what time do you need to get up? And then I really like to give myself 45 minutes to an hour from like my wake up time to finishing my morning routine, getting dressed, whatever. Because like I don't do my hair or makeup, so like I don't even need to factor those things in. But between getting up and like just like having a nice slow like getting up morning, I guess, and then getting out of bed, opening the curtains, making the bed, brushing my teeth, doing my face, whatever, and getting dressed, like, by the time I go downstairs, like, I really enjoy that being somewhere around 30 to 45 minutes, having another 15 minutes downstairs, and then I get up early enough, slash, I don't have to go to work until like 9:15. I'll like go downstairs, I'll help Johnny like do whatever he's doing downstairs because he goes downstairs so much faster than me. And then whether it's like unloading the dishes, feeding Jack, eating my raspberries, drinking a cup of water, like I do all of these things. Then we eat breakfast because I'm so fortunate he cooks breakfast. And so then we eat breakfast together. We drink our coffee. We sit and we watch like whatever TV. And then I get up and I go to work. And honestly, having that like type of relaxing morning where I'm not like, get up and go, 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 has completely changed my mood and my productivity levels for the rest of the day, because I'm feeling just like so much more at ease and I don't feel fight or flight right when I get up. So one of the other things that I truly would love to just like get into the habit of is taking a walk outside, like for literally 10 minutes just to get some sunshine in, and then drinking some more water in the morning and doing a cold ice bath on my face. Like, I do notice that like the days that I get to do that, I feel even better, but we're still working on incorporating that on a daily basis. We're not quite there yet, but we're doing the thing. And then in terms of like the rest of your day, it's like, okay, what does the rest of your day look like, right? So for me, my days are scattered. The times that I'm available are scattered. So it's like I have like daily tasks that I put on my calendar. So like breakfast, lunch, dinner, responding to clients, like all these things. Like I literally have these time blocks that I put on my calendars, and I will put them like at the same time every single day. So my wake up routine is for an hour every single day at the same time. My wind down routine, which we'll get there, is at the same time. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. All of those things are at the same time every single day. And then what I'll do is I'll look at my day the day before and be like, okay, and sometimes I might have to like nudge things around based on like, oh, practice time changed, so I need to commute at this time, or such and such canceled, so I need to do this, this, and this at this time instead, or like I have a little bit more time here. And then the other thing that I've been doing is I've been making sure that I've been like planning some time for me. So for example, these last few days, really wanted to go to the pool and like enjoy some time in the sun. So I made sure that everything that I was doing was after 3 p.m. So then I still had time to do that. So that is just kind of like one thing that I definitely, but so it's really just like looking at your day, figuring out all those things that you need to do and plugging them into your day. So then as they come up, like your day is already planned for you. Like you already know what you're doing at what times, because that is one thing that we really have to get off our plates, because we're so stressed all the time and we have so much going on all the time. Like if we can just plan all of that in advance, then when the day comes, it feels so much easier and more productive, because we already know what we're doing. We already know what times we're leaving the house. We already know when we're getting that walk in. We already know all these different things. Now, life happens and things come up and things will go awry, and that's okay, but at least you had a plan in place, and as much as you can get done, you got done. Another thing that like I don't have a desk job. So I don't necessarily have like all these things that I have to do. I don't even know what it's like to be in corporate America anymore. But one thing that I had given a suggestion to is like blocking off, you know, I don't know, maybe it's like the first part of your day or like the middle. So like I feel like from like 8 to 10, that's when like calls are happening, you're responding from things the day before, things like that. But like from like 10 to 12, there's a lot of just like random shit that's coming your way. And so from like 10 to 12, block that time off on your calendar when you're at work and put yourself off as busy. Obviously if a client wants to schedule something at that time, or like your boss like needs a meeting, fine. But maybe you don't put yourself as busy, and you let people put things on your calendar if needed. But then once that day comes, like, and that whatever 10 o'clock mark hits, change that to being busy so nobody bothers you, like Teams, whatever. And in that block of time, that 2 hour block of time, literally write out all of the things that you need to get done that are due that day, or like due the day after, or whatever. What are the things that are like, I need this to be crossed off my to-do list today? And you should do that the day before. So like you leave work at 5 p.m. So at 4:50, go into your time block that you have that following day, type out your list of like things you didn't get done, things that have due dates, and put it in an order. Like, okay, this is high priority and needs to be done ASAP. And I find myself really productive when I do my lighter things that I get to check really fast off. Like, put your things that are going to take 2 to 3 minutes, whatever. And then the things that are going to take a little bit longer and require a little bit more creativity. Or if you're like, no, I need to do those types of things first, and then I can go check after that, because or else my brain is just going to be thinking about those things. Like, then you do those bigger things first or whatever. So you're using that time block efficiently. And during that time, your phone's on do not disturb, nobody's contacting you on Teams, and you are just go, 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 go on all the things that you need to get done. Nobody's bothering you, and you've gotten those things done. Like, this is the type of efficiency that we need to create in our lives, because if not, then those tasks that you need to get done, you're going to stay at work getting those done later. And then when you look back on the day, it's like, okay, yeah, I was busy, but was I productive? Or was I just like constantly bouncing around from here to here to here doing different projects and like getting pulled out of creative processes, like doing certain things because, whatever. So all of this to say, you've got to be super efficient in your work life, however that looks like for you. And then when it comes to after work, wind down, things like that, it's like, okay, so again, like, are you carpooling people around? What does that all look like? And we reverse engineer again from your wake up time to what time you need to go to bed. So whatever time you set for going to bed, you want to set your wind down time 10 hours. I know it sounds crazy. 10 hours before that. And the reason for that is because then your alarm says like, okay, it's a wind down time. So you have that first hour where you're like, I need to do all of the things that I need to do to go to bed. So put the dishes in the dishwasher, put the kids to bed, do I don't know, do XYZ things that you need. Like we go and water the flowers, put the dishes in the sink. We have to give Jack his nighttime supplements. All these different things that you have to do before you even go to bed. And so that's what you do with that like hour for the wind down. And then you spend an hour in bed, reading a book, journaling, watching TV, something where you're just kind of like comfy in bed. And then once that 8-hour mark hits, hopefully you'll be asleep by then and then sleeping for 8-ish hours. But having that type of routine will allow you to build a time where like your brain is like, we're doing this task. That means we're about to relax. And we're relaxing. This means we're about to fall asleep, right? And then you give yourself a better chance of sleeping for a full 8 hours versus rushing to bed, tossing and turning because you just did all these high strung activities before rushing to bed. And now you're just trying to go to sleep. So what do you need to do for your evening so then that way you can go to sleep and get a good amount of sleep? And then in terms of like your evening routine, like again, like what are those non-negotiable things? What times do you need to be prepping for the next day? What do you need to be doing to prep for the next day? And making sure that you are creating these efficient processes that are repeatable every single day or at least every single week to get you where you want to go. Creating these efficient routines is going to be really vital in your success when you receive a plan. And leaning on your coach for help is really important. And that is definitely something that I've done with my coaches is I have gone to them and I've been like, I just feel so burnt out. How am I going to do these things? And obviously we work together on different creative ways to do that because just as much as, I am a coach, it is really hard for me to see my life in the way that somebody else would see it. And so sometimes I really need that outside perspective. And again, so like that's why I wanted to go over kind of like how I got to where I am because I didn't necessarily see the value in routines or things like that until I was like, okay, I have this established goal, which like before I didn't really have these like established goals. I didn't really understand what I wanted out of so many different things. And so now I have this established goal and it's like, here are the things that I need to do in order to get there. And that's not just for like physique wise or nutrition wise or physical fitness, if you will. So yes, I have goals when it comes to lifting. I have goals when it comes to my personal like physique or image, but I also have goals when it comes to my business. And truly I had to sit down and be like, okay, these are my goals here. This is how I have to get there. What are the repeatable actions that I need to do daily in order to get there? And how do I create a system that allows me to do those repeatable actions weekly, daily, whatever it is in order to achieve that? And that is how the routine audit that I have built out for my clients came to fruition because it was like, sure, I can give you this plan. Most coaches like just give a plan. Sure, I can give you this plan, but if you don't know how to execute it, you're going to feel like a failure. And if we're constantly working through every single week, like what happened that week and how could we have done it that week, it's going to be really hard to continue to see results. So if we have a plan up front and we try to execute it that way, then as things kind of come up, it's like, okay, how do we need to shift the plan, or do you need to shift your boundaries? Or do you need to shift your mindset to make sure that these things happen, right? I have a client who, in her initial routine audit, we talked about going to the gym on her lunch breaks, and that way her morning didn't seem so hectic. But for whatever reason, that just hasn't come to fruition. And she was like, you know what? I'm not able to do that, but I know how much this means to me. So I'm just going to get my butt up and I'm going to go to work early. And part of that is meal prepping and being planned for the day. She doesn't have to feel so lost every single time in order to get fed during the workday. So this is why I think that routines are incredibly important. And through routines, this is my habit forming strategy. This is how I work with my clients in order to get them the results that they're looking for. So I hope you were able to take something away from this podcast, and my DMs are open if you want some personalized help in order to get your routine started. So I look forward to talking to you soon, and I will chat with you.